She said I didn't understand her darkness, as if I hadn't been walking through mine blindfolded for years. I think the exact words were, "You only loved the light in me, you'd leave if you saw the rest." And I remember laughing, not because it was funny, but because I thought it was melodramatic. I'd held her through panic attacks at 3 a.m., wiped her tears off my collar, stayed during those nights when she disappeared inside herself so deep, I felt like I was loving a ghost. I thought I had seen her darkness, but that was before the basement, before the box, before the letter that made me feel like I never knew her or my father. We'd been married 9 years, together for 13. Long enough that the silences didn't scare us anymore. Long enough that I thought we'd passed the breaking points most couples didn't survive. We weren't perfect, who is? But I never imagined she could lie to me, not like this. And certainly not for almost 2 decades. The trigger was stupid. That's how these things always start, just a spark near a buried fuse. She'd gone to visit her sister upstate for a weekend. I stayed behind to fix the furnace in the house. One of those old ones that clanks and wheezes like it has secrets to tell. She warned me, don't go in the crawl space behind the basement shelves, it's infested with mold. But I was irritated already. She always made me feel like I was too fragile to do anything, too clean, too weak for her chaos. So I went in. I should have listened. There wasn't any mold. There was a taped-up cardboard box wrapped in 3 layers of garbage bags. I wouldn't have opened it, God, I wish I hadn't, but duct tape only hides what's begging to be found. I sliced it open. Inside, photos, letters. One torn-up ultrasound, a cheap silver bracelet I didn't recognize. The photos were old, curling at the corners, and every single one had the same 2 people. Her asterisk, years younger and thinner, and my father. Not my stepfather, not a friend's dad, my biological father. And not in group settings, not in birthday parties or family events. No, these were private, quiet, asterisk intimate. In one, she was sitting on his lap. In another, he was holding her hand. One looked like it was taken in the cabin I'd inherited from him. The last one was the 2 of them kissing. She couldn't have been more than 20. I dropped the stack. I think I sat on the concrete floor for 10 minutes staring at nothing. The buzzing in my ears was louder than my heartbeat. I didn't cry, not yet, that came later. When I opened the letter tucked under the photos, it wasn't addressed to me. It wasn't addressed to anyone. It started with, I told you I'd never tell, and I haven't, but I need to put it somewhere in case I forget, in case I ever try to lie to myself. 6 pages, all handwritten. All in her voice, she'd never sounded more raw. She wrote about being 19, alone, about meeting a man almost twice her age who understood her chaos. She wrote about how he told her she was special, that she was different. How she believed him, how she let him take care of her. How he paid for her college classes, helped her find an apartment. She said he was married, that he had a son, that he called the son his asterisk greatest regret. She said she got pregnant. I stood there in my own basement, air thick with furnace dust, staring at the same timeline she and I always avoided, the one where we first met when I was 21 and she was 29. She'd been with other people, she said, but she never mentioned my father. She never mentioned that he asterisk might have been the reason she came to my city in the first place. She never mentioned the child she lost at 3 months, or that he asterisk paid for her abortion. She never mentioned that she almost married him. I couldn't breathe. I felt like I was choking on the years, on the memories, on the hundreds of times I'd asked her, why do you get so weird around my dad? And she just brushed it off with, he creeps me out, that's all. When it creeps her out, she was in love with him. And then she married his son, me. I didn't sleep that night, I didn't eat the next day. I paced the living room like a stranger in my own house, that box sitting on the kitchen table like it was radioactive. Every time I walked past it, I felt like it was pulsing with the weight of everything I didn't know about my own life. About her, about him. I thought about calling her. I typed out 3 different texts. We need to talk. I found the box. What the hell is this? But I deleted them all. I wanted to hear her say it with her own mouth, with her eyes on mine. I wanted to see if she flinched when I said his name. She came back late Sunday night, pulled into the driveway like nothing had changed. Hummed as she unlocked the front door, tossed her purse onto the couch, and slipped off her shoes like this was still asterisk our asterisk home. I sat in the dining room, hands clenched so tight I could feel the crescent moons of my nails biting into my palms. She spotted me and smiled. Did the furnace guy come? She asked. I didn't answer. I just pointed to the box. Her eyes followed my hand and then stillness, no panic, no gasps. Just a flicker of something sharp and feral passing over her face like a storm cloud. She didn't speak right away. She walked slowly over, peeled the flaps back, saw the photos, the letter, and exhaled like she'd just opened a coffin. You weren't supposed to see that. That's what she said, not I can explain. Not it's not what it looks like asterisk, just a resigned, bitter, tired truth. I asked her how long. It ended before we ever started, she said. I hadn't seen him in years when I met you. I didn't even know he was your father at first, not until that Thanksgiving. That Thanksgiving, 7 months into dating, the first time she'd come home with me, when she met my family. I remember her going quiet when I introduced her to my dad. Her hand went limp in his. She excused herself 10 minutes later and didn't come out of the bathroom for almost an hour. I thought she was just overwhelmed, she knew then. And she stayed. Why? I asked, my voice cracked like old wood. Why would you stay with me knowing who he was? She sat across from me, didn't cry, didn't apologize. Just stared at her hands. Because I wanted to rewrite the story, she whispered. Because you weren't him, you were good, gentle, everything he was. I thought if I loved you hard enough, it would erase the part of me that ever loved him. It was like listening to someone describe a drowning from under the water. Detached, dreamlike, too slow for how fast my mind was spinning. I stood up, I didn't even know what I was doing until I heard my voice. Loud, shaking. You should have told me before we got married, before we had a damn life together, you slept with my father. You were pregnant by him. She looked up, eyes hollow, I know. Did you love him? I asked. She hesitated for a long time. Yes, but not the way I loved you. That did something to me, split something open, because I realized right then that she did love me, but it was a love built on top of rot. Like building a house on buried bones and pretending not to hear them rattle. I asked her if he knew. If my father had any idea she was with me, she nodded. He figured it out after the wedding. He said it was poetic. Then she laughed, cold, shaking. He said, guess we both have good taste. I thought I was going to vomit. I had to grip the back of the chair to keep from collapsing. You kept this from me for 17 years, I whispered. 17 years. She didn't defend herself, she didn't beg. She just looked at me and said something I'll never forget. You were the only good thing I ever did with that pain. The only thing that made it feel like it wasn't all for nothing. If I told you the truth, I knew I'd lose that too. I didn't sleep in the same room with her that night. I barely made it through the next day without screaming. I looked at her and saw him. I looked at myself and saw a joke I didn't get yet. And I still hadn't called my father. I stared at his number on my phone for hours that night. My thumb hovered over the call button like it was a detonator. Part of me hoped he'd deny it. Part of me prayed he'd say it was a mistake, a delusion, that she was lying. That the photos were fake, that he never touched her. But even before he picked up, I knew I'd always known something was off, just not this asterisk. When he answered, his voice was calm, cheerful. Hey son. Everything all right? I didn't waste time, I found the box. There was a pause, only a second, but it said everything. His silence felt like a gunshot in my ear. Then he said, so she kept it. No denial, no confusion. Just the smug acceptance of a man who had counted on the truth staying buried longer than he needed it to. I couldn't even form the words at first. Rage choked them out. When they finally came, they were ugly. You used her, she was a kid dad, a F \\\king kid. He sighed, she was an adult, 19, it wasn't like that. You were married, she was vulnerable, she looked up to you, how is that not predatory? He didn't get angry, he didn't yell, that would have made it easier. He just said, we were both broken people. We found comfort in each other, what do you want me to say? I wanted him to be sorry, I wanted shame, I wanted guilt, but there was none. You came to our wedding, I whispered. You stood beside me, you toasted to us. He chuckled softly, and that sound lit something inside me that I didn't know existed. Ironic, huh, he said. The woman who used to scream my name at 3 a.m. ended up screaming yours. Life has a way of coming full circle. I hung up before I could say something I couldn't take back, or before I drove over to his house and made sure he couldn't say anything ever again. The rage didn't leave. It simmered, bubbled under my skin for weeks. My ex-wife now tried to apologize, tried to explain more. We went to counseling. For a while I even believed we might make it, that this was just trauma being excavated, and if we bled enough, the wound would finally heal. But it didn't. I couldn't touch her without seeing his hands. I couldn't sleep beside her without hearing that laugh again. I couldn't make love to her without wondering if she was thinking of him. The worst part, there were moments, tiny flickers, when I still loved her. Even now, even after everything, part of me still aches when I see her handwriting. Still misses the way she used to hum when folding laundry. Still catches myself looking for her in a crowd, but that love, it's poisoned, it always was. I just didn't know how deep the venom went. I started digging into my father's past. I wanted to know if this was just a one-time thing, a lapse in judgment, or a pattern. What I found made my stomach turn. There were others, not many. But enough, a grad student he mentored, a single mom he helped get back on her feet, a waitress who quit her job 2 weeks after he started eating at her diner every Thursday. It was always the same type, young, vulnerable, desperate for approval, and always silent. I called my sister, asked if she ever noticed anything strange growing up. Her silence said enough. You too, she whispered. And suddenly I wasn't just grieving my marriage, I was grieving my whole childhood. The mythology of our father, the wise, charming, endlessly capable man who knew how to fix everything, was crumbling into ash. I tried warning people, tried confronting him again. He laughed, said I was emotional. Said I was letting my woman problems cloud my thinking, said I was just bitter because he got there first. I don't remember punching him. But I remember the sound of his jaw cracking. In the silence that followed, I thought it would feel like justice. It didn't. It felt like finally waking up from a dream I didn't know I was having, and realizing I'd been sleepwalking through my whole life. After I hit him, he just looked at me, hand to his face, blood starting to drip from his split lip, and laughed again. That smug, low chuckle. I don't remember walking away. I just remember the cold air biting at my face, and the sound of my own heartbeat thudding in my ears like a war drum. My hands were shaking so bad I thought I might pass out. But underneath, the adrenaline was something worse than rage. Grief, not for him, for me, for the version of my life that no longer existed. I went no contact that day, deleted his number, blocked every email, every call. Burned a box of old photos, the ones where he's holding me as a baby, the ones where we're smiling at fishing trips, cookouts, Christmas mornings. Lies printed on glossy paper. And I told her, my wife, the woman who used to be the axis of my entire world, that I couldn't do it anymore. Not just the marriage, the pretending, the gaslighting of my own memory. I moved out, took only what I needed. Left the house, the furniture, even the dog. He was more attached to her anyway. I thought leaving would bring clarity. I thought once I was gone, I'd feel clean again. Lighter, but all it did was make the silence louder. At night, I'd lie awake in my brother's spare room and try to replay every conversation we'd ever had, every fight, every tearful confession, every kiss. I searched for signs, warnings, anything I missed. But the truth is, she loved me well, asterisk. That's what made it so cruel. She loved me like I was her redemption story, like I was the fresh start she never thought she deserved. And I believed it because I wanted it too. But love doesn't erase the past, and some ghosts don't stay buried, especially when you build your home over the grave. 3 weeks after I moved out, she texted me, just one sentence. He told me he loved me the night before he proposed to your mother. I didn't reply. I didn't want to know more. I didn't want another layer. But of course, I couldn't stop myself. I asked her to meet me one last time, public place. Neutral ground, no history attached. She looked tired, not broken, not manipulative, just tired. Like a woman who'd been carrying a war inside her body for 20 years and finally realized she'd lost. She didn't try to convince me to come back, didn't cry, didn't blame me. She just said, I know I should have told you, I was just trying to survive. I asked her the question I'd been holding for months. Do you still love him? She blinked like the question physically stung. Then she whispered, no, I just never stopped hating myself for letting him love me. I didn't know what to say to that. What could asterisk I say? I told her I was leaving the city, a fresh start, different job, new coast. She nodded, said she understood, said she hoped I'd find peace. Then she handed me a photograph. One I hadn't seen before. It was from years ago. I was asleep on the couch, arms around her, face buried in her neck. She was looking at the camera, smiling, soft, honest, before the lies burned holes in everything. She said that was real, even if everything else was. I nodded, took the photo, left. I didn't look back. It's been 6 months. I live in Oregon now. The ocean is louder here, wilder. It drowns out the noise in my head sometimes. I'm in therapy, learning that trauma doesn't always look like bruises. That betrayal from the people who were supposed to protect you leaves a mark you can't always see, but you feel it every time you try to trust someone new. I haven't spoken to my father. I won't. He's dead to me, and when he dies for real, I won't be at the funeral. As for her, sometimes I miss her. I miss the us that could have been. The version of our life that might have existed if she had just told the truth. But I'm learning to miss without needing, to grieve without returning, because some darkness doesn't need understanding, it needs to be left behind. I didn't expect to hear from her again. After that last meeting, we'd both said our final goodbyes, not with grand speeches or dramatic closure, just the quiet understanding that some endings are necessary, even if they don't feel fair. But a month ago, she emailed me. Subject line, I need to tell you something before it's too late. I stared at it for hours before opening it. I don't know what I expected, maybe a confession. Maybe another twist I hadn't seen coming. But when I finally clicked it open, the message was just a few short lines. I'm sick, it's serious, I don't know how much time I have, but there's one last thing I never told you. It's about your father, about what he did after we broke up. You deserve to know everything. I froze, I almost deleted it. I almost let it die in my inbox like the past should, but I couldn't. There's something about unresolved pain, it festers. Even when you try to bury it, it comes back in whispers and dreams and in the way you flinch when someone touches the wrong part of your soul. I replied with just 2 words. Tell me. She didn't write it, she sent a voicemail, 4 minutes and 27 seconds. I listened to it in the dark, headphones on, heart racing like it knew what was coming before I did. Her voice sounded older. Fragile but steady. She said that after she left my father before she met me, he didn't take it well. She tried to cut him off, blocked him, moved to a new apartment, changed jobs, but he found her again and again. He threatened to tell people about the abortion, about the relationship. He said no one would believe she hadn't seduced him, said she'd ruin his family, his career. He sent her letters, flowers, a necklace she once threw into the Hudson. She filed a report once. The cop told her there wasn't enough evidence to make it stick. Then a few months before she met me, he stopped, vanished. She thought it was over, that she was free. Until 2 years into our marriage, he showed up again. Unannounced, at her work, he didn't say a word, just looked at her, smiled, then whispered, "How's married life, sweetheart? Does he treat you like daddy did?" She said she threw up in the staff bathroom after that. And that night she almost left me, packed a bag, wrote a note, but she didn't go, said she couldn't let him steal anything else from her, not this. Then came the part that made my blood run cold. She said she once caught him staring at our wedding photo on the wall during a visit. When she asked what he was thinking, he just said, "I always wondered what it'd be like to raise the same woman twice." I felt like I was going to be sick. I've thought about that voicemail every day since. Thought about how many layers of manipulation my father wove into our lives. How much of her silence wasn't betrayal, it was survival. It doesn't excuse what she did. It doesn't make our marriage whole again. But it made something shift inside me. She didn't keep the truth from me out of malice. She kept it because she was afraid, and in some sick, twisted way, so was I, afraid to ask, afraid to dig. Afraid to shatter the illusion of who I thought we were. I wrote her back, told her I was sorry, that I didn't know how to forgive, but I understood, that I hoped she wasn't alone. That I hoped she found peace even if we couldn't find it together. She didn't respond, maybe she won't, and maybe that's okay. Because some stories don't end with healing, they end with understanding, and that's enough. Last week I stood on a cliff overlooking the Pacific, the same spot I go to when the world feels too heavy. I took out that wedding photo she gave me, the one where I'm asleep and she's smiling, and I let the wind carry it away. Not out of anger, not revenge, but because some memories are too heavy to keep holding, and I'm done carrying things that were never mine to bear.